Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making the French onion soup. So let us get into this. Alright, so I'm going to show you a cool way to cut these onions. I don't know, it may not be cool. It's probably super lame. I'm not going to do that song. So usually people probably cut these right down the middle just like they were making onion rings. And then they kind of fall apart as you're slicing it. So what I'm going to do is slice it top to bottom, just like this. And then I'm going to quarter these. Just like this. And then you can take those quarters and peel off the peeling. And then I'm taking all the scraps and stuff and putting them in my stock pot because I'm going to add them to my stock. But okay, cut the end off, and then since this root end is still intact, it kind of keeps everything together. So we just go through and slice like this right here. And then when I get to the end, I'll make a slice and pinch that, and then that way I don't cut myself, except that it didn't work that time. I mean, I didn't cut myself, but usually it keeps everything together. But, you know, turn the camera on and that's what happens. So just putting the onion slices over here and the scraps in the stock pot. Also, the reason it's called French onion soup is not because it's French, it's because the way things are sliced all thin and stuff, like French fries and stuff. Anyway. Okay, so I didn't mention it a while ago, but there are 4 yellow onions that I've sliced up fine right here. I'm just going to take a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm just going to pour it in here and mix that around. Yep, and then just put a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder on these onions. And then I got this bone marrow from DSR Farms, and it is just like a bone that they cut, and the marrow is still in there. I soaked these in some salt water for 6 or 8 hours or so. This right here is a little bit pink when it's not soaked, and that just kind of helps get all the extra stuff out of it. But I'm just going to hit that with some salt and pepper and garlic powder on both sides of that. And if you wanted to, you could clean up the edge of this, clean the meat off with like the back of a knife, and it would look pretty, but I'm throwing it in stock anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna stick these on top of the, you know what, I'm gonna lay them on their sides, on the onions, and that way while they are roasting, all the juices and stuff that comes out of them is just gonna help season that onion that much more. So I've got the oven preheated to 450. These are going to cook for about 15 minutes. We'll take them out and look at it. Okay, those just came out of the oven. It went probably 20 minutes or maybe just a little bit over, just till the juices started being clear on these. I'm going to attempt to pick this up and plate it over here. Alright, I'm just going to give these onions a stir and stick them back in the oven to let them finish caramelizing, and we'll get on to this marrow. Alright, so while that was in the oven, I threw some bread in there to crisp up just a little bit, and I went ahead and cooked some deer back straps on there because I feel like this is just going to go good with steak. But from what I understand, this is basically butter that tastes like steak, so we're just going to get a little bit and rub on this. Oh, that. Alright, so just spread that all over that. I've never tasted this before, but I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to get the rest of this out of that, and then we'll get the stock working up. Alright, so I just put the bones in here after I cleaned everything out, and with my scraps, I'm just going to cover everything with water and bring it up to a boil. Okay, just got this up to a roaring boil, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it and kind of spoon out any kind of foam that comes up to the top. And I've got about 10 minutes left on the onions that are still on the timer. I'm going to bring them back out, stir them up again, and then put them in for another 30 minutes and just let them cook while this finishes being stocky. so these cooked for probably 45 minutes to an hour, and every 15 minutes I just stirred them. You're gonna get some burn on the edge, just don't worry about that. Scoop everything away from that, and then we're just gonna scoop these up and get them in the bottom of this bowl right here. I did put all the marrow that we didn't eat with the steaks and the bread in here and let that finish cooking, so this should be extra beefy flavored onions. Okay, I've just got a colander I'm going to put over this, and I'm going to strain out everything that's in the stock. Alright, so there's a little bit of fat and stuff on top. You know, that's to be expected because, you know, it's fatty in there. Plus I put that marrow in with the onions. I'm just going to take a piece of bread and lay it on top, and it'll soak up all that fat. And then this would be the time that you want to taste and see if it needs any salt and pepper, but since we put a bunch in there when we were cooking it, it shouldn't need much, but I'll give it a taste anyway. Okay, just going to fill this bowl up, and then I've got some of that bread left over that we had toasted. I'm going to put it on top and then cover it with some white cheddar cheese because that's what I felt like covering it with. I don't think that's very traditional, but nothing I've done today has been. So, yeah. And then I've got my oven set to broil. And I'm just going to pop this in for a couple of minutes and let all the cheese get good and melty. Alright, so yeah, it went about 4 or 5 minutes in there on broil and got everything melty and bubbly again, and yeah, bon appetit.